Hey, I'm Jademan.
And I'm Latresa, and welcome to Hey Sista podcast.
As the name suggests, we're sisters.
Not like best friend sisters or like cute outfit sisters.
But like came from the same womb sisters.
And the same.
Well, you get the picture. Not only are we sisters, but we are both entrepreneurs living and working in one of the most fast-paced,
competitive,
and expensive cities in America.
Native to the 717, we are young, creative professionals,
sharing our stories as we journey through the ups and downs,
ins and outs,
and thicks and thins of life in New York City. Hello.
Welcome back.
Haven't seen you in a while. It hasn't been that long.
It hasn't. This is episode 3.
Episode 3.
Ow!
Of Hey Sista podcast.
Thank you to everyone who has joined us on this journey, sharing our entrepreneurial experiences and lifestyles. You all that have joined us on Patreon, a special thank you, because you are supporting 2 small business owners who are out here doing this for the first time, learning as we go.
Yeah.
And the journey has not been easy. So we appreciate your support so much. You joining us on Patreon helps us to upgrade equipment and for Jademan to purchase material to make her clothes, and you just help keep us going, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Toda raba in Hebrew, thank you so much.
Gracias in Spanish, thank you.
So without further ado, hey sister, hey sister, hey!
Hey sister, hey!
Hey sister, hey sister, hey!
I said hey sister, hey sister, hey!
All right, so Jademan normally introduces the topic, so I guess let me throw the first one out there.
Okay.
Switch things up a little bit for episode 3. This episode is all about work-life balance and time management, because those things are crucial and essential, not even just as business owners, but we're going to talk about how that applies to entrepreneurship. So, Jade, you got some exciting things happening, sister.
Thanks.
This has been an eventful week for you, so let us know, what are you currently working on?
Okay, so on this past Tuesday, February 1st, I launched Loman Moy.
Woo! Round of applause.
Yes, that has brought a lot of great things, also a lot of anxiety. Being so stuck on the details, that has been my main focus this week. Bringing that brand to life and launching it, that was a lot. Getting all the ends tied, things like that. And then Thrift Babe kind of sat on the back burner this week because so much was focused on Loman Moy. And also, I was working on some freelancing work this week. It's been a lot of work, so I can't wait to get into how I kind of navigated that and how I didn't navigate that, to be honest. So yeah, that's what my week was looking like work-wise. What was your week looking like?
That's a good question. What's today? Okay. So this week was an editing week for me. We shot another episode of the Dr. Selma B Show. If you don't know about the Dr. Selma B Show, you can head on over to Partner with Legacy YouTube channel. That is the home of the Dr. Selma B Show, and you will see like all of the content. We've been working for, I think we're going into our 3rd season. We started filming. Yeah, we started filming in, I want to say maybe November of 2019.
Come on, longevity.
Yes. Yes. And you can see it's awesome. Like if you go back and look at one of the episodes we produced then versus now, you will see the growth in just every way. And we also changed sets too. We used to film like in a TV studio setting, and now we're filming in a smaller studio setting, but it's way more intimate. It usually takes me about 2 days to fully edit an episode for Dr. B.
That's a long time.
Yeah. And right before this, I also was working on another project that I was editing. So this week has been talk show editing, and also, hallelujah, I was receiving a couple of calls for returning clients that want to book me and new clients that want to book me. So I had a couple of meetings that went really well, and then the rest was life. A couple of lifestyle changes that I've been adapting to this week as well.
Love to see it. Love to hear it.
Thanks.
New clients.
Thanks. Can you talk more in detail about like what it consisted of to launch L'Homme Moi?
Yeah. So the launch for L'Homme Moi, just to give context, I have been working on L'Homme Moi for over a year now. There has been a lot going on behind the scenes. To start a fashion brand, it just requires you to know, where is that fabric coming from? What's the design? What are you actually making? What is the price of that item? The product part of it is only one aspect. But because I'm doing so many things myself, it's like after that product was done, I had to do my makeup and I had to set up the camera and the lights in a corner of my apartment, and I had to photograph myself, put my camera on the timer and photograph. I had to make sure I had shipping boxes and packaging materials to be able to ship these kimonos to people when they order them. I had to have the fabric. I had to have all the logistical things figured out, so if someone orders something from me, I'm like, it goes through this stage, this stage, this stage, and then it actually gets shipped to the person. There were a lot of like logistics to figure out, a lot of business to figure out, a lot of design work to do. I still had to be active on social media, making sure I was posting things so that when I did launch, people were actually seeing my content. It was a lot of moving parts. Y'all, it was hard. It was really hard.
We're going to keep it real.
Yes, it was really difficult. And I'm the type of person that tries to make the best of a situation. I'm like, you can do this. But then there's sometimes you get to the point where you're just like, why am I doing this again? And I had to remind myself over and over, I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm here for a reason. I have to keep moving forward. Teresa was calling me like I was like, I can't do it. And she was like, girl, you need to get it together. You need to figure it out. Make sure you're still taking care of yourself, but also like, you have to do this. Like,
yeah. I was telling her, because I've been through this experience of launching my production company back in 2017, because it's exciting for us and we do put so much work into it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're like, in our minds it's like, oh, it's gotta be this big thing, and like we just put so much weight on it that it can be consuming. My biggest concern for Jade was, I did not want her to feel like if people did not buy a kimono the day that she launched, that it was just like a wash. Like it was just like, oh, my launch was not successful, like no one's supporting me, like no one bought anything. So I wanted to just encourage her in that area, because that's not the truth. It's always a journey. It's always like, you have milestones, but that's not the end of the journey. It's like trial and error, constantly just learning and growing, honestly. Like, that's all it is. And I just didn't want her to be down or discouraged, and to just more look at it like, this is day one. Someone might buy something on day 2 or day 4 or, like
day 15.
Day 15, it might not happen the day that, the launch happens.
Yeah. And I think that really encouraged me, because I don't know, thinking the way that I was thinking, it can make work obsessive in a way, because you're like, I need to do everything I possibly can to make this thing work. And at the end of the day, there is a point that you reach that it's like you have no more control over this. You can do your best to make a good product, to put it out there, to make sure that it is the best quality that you can provide your customers. But at the end of the day, they have to want to buy. They have to press the checkout button. I don't control any of those things. And so it really is like, okay, you made it up until this point with your actions. Now your faith has to kick in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I was. My faith was like, oh, I don't know. So it was nice to be encouraged in that way. So thanks, sister.
Anytime, sister. And I just want to note that we definitely took a parenthetical pause to have this conversation because it needed to be acknowledged and, you know, just to congratulate Jade on launching her brand. Like, that is huge.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I definitely wanted to just take a moment to acknowledge it. And I also want to have in here the making of the garment, kind of, because I feel like I still don't know if people understand that you're hand making these pieces, because I think there's so many fast clothing boutiques out here that are just reselling. You know, you look at their prices and you're like, oh, it's a little more pricier than the store, but it's a small business, I'll support them or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, for something like what you do, I don't know if people really understand that you're like making this stuff from scratch.
Yeah.
The process of how many different
variations it goes through.
Yeah, like how many mock things you made, or I don't know how the terminology
Samples.
for that. Samples, yeah.
So the process is really, for Loman Moy, like Teresa said, I am creating these things from scratch. I am going from concept. What is this piece going to be about? I'm going from concept and taking it to the development stage. What do I want it to look like? How does it fit the person? What is the style? Is it a dress? Is it a kimono? Is it like, what is it? And then I have to work through the math, the shape, all the things to bring this idea in my head to a physical item. So that works out in pattern making. I have to make a pattern on paper, and then once I get that pattern on paper, or for me, I did it digitally, so creating a pattern on the computer and then making it in actual fabric. There's a video on my Instagram where you see me making this kimono. So I'm going from one variation to the next variation to the next variation. And this cycle continues until I get something that I'm like, yes, this works. I like how it fits on the body. It fits well. It has all the components that I'm looking for. And then from there, I'm making it again in the fabrics that I'm actually going to use. So this can require machine sewing, hand sewing, which the kimono that I made does. So I'm doing all that I've learned to put into this one garment, and it's made specifically by me, by my hands, created in my space just for the person who orders it. So in the store, they have a whole production team overseas that they put in the order of what style they want. And there are people, not machines, but there are people who are actually sitting and making your garments and then shipping them back to the US for you to wear. They have whole teams. They have industry level machines, and they're making your garments and shipping them back to the US. So in this case, I'm creating small quantities of things. I'm not buying this garment and giving it to you. I'm not buying it for $3 in a third world country and shipping it back to me to give to you. I am creating these physically with my hands with my imagination, with my thought, with my creativity, and I'm producing these for you.
Yes. Yes. I love that. That was beautifully explained.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference. I'm paying myself a fair wage to actually produce these things. In other countries, you might get paid 50 cents to make a garment, and then the store sells it to you for $75, and that worker only got paid 50 cents to make it for you. I just believe in paying a fair wage, paying a living wage, something that you can live off of, but also providing quality products for you guys and making sure that when I do become a larger team, I have the money to afford to pay people what they deserve to be paid.
Yes.
Let me get off my soapbox now.
Yes. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It's a lot that goes into it. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about fashion because people are like, well, I can buy this shirt from Forever 21 for $5, so why would I pay $210 for your kimono? And it's much bigger than the garment. It's the things behind it, it's the morals, it's the ethics, it's the consideration for the earth and for the people, and that's why it has the price that it has.
I absolutely love that, y'all. If you are listening, Lom, LOMANDMOY.com. Go support Jademan and all of her thoughtful, hard work. Like everything you just heard, that is what you are supporting. You are supporting a hardworking, genuine, beautiful, kind, and loving, extremely creative and talented, young, beautiful, African goddess. In her endeavors, like in her beautiful mission. You get to learn more about her mission statement on her website and her motivation behind her brand, and you will get to support. If you cannot afford right now to purchase a kimono, please get an envelope and put some money in there every week until you get enough to be able to support. Put a little bit of your check to the side every week, and also share it. Share it with your friends, your family. Share the website. If you have social media, follow her on social media. Share her garment to just help get the word out about her business and what she is doing. You know how you see people who are in like, you know, magazines and like doing all these big things. Yeah. Most of them started like Jademan is starting. It really takes a village, and it really takes people sharing and supporting so that we can help build one another. Also, if you have a brand, something you're doing, let us know. We would love to reciprocate the support. It's not about just us talking about our businesses and what we're doing and trying to get support for our businesses, but we like to reciprocate as well. That's the only way that we're going to be able to continue to grow, is by helping each other out. Yeah. So please check out LOMANDMOY.com.
Thanks, Sista.
You're welcome, Sista.
And I do have to say, there have been tons of people sharing the content, sharing the kimono, sharing the brand, reaching out to me, sending me positive messages, just being so encouraging and motivating. And thank y'all. Like, thank you so much, because it definitely keeps me going. I don't know how many times that I'm like, it's not going to work, and then someone messages me and they're like, you're doing great, keep going, you got this, like, you can do it. And I'm like, I can do it, thank you. Y'all real for that. So I appreciate y'all for sharing, for sending your love, your support, all the things. I'm so grateful.
All right, so we about to dive back into these topics. We're done with our parenthetical pause to encourage and congratulate Jademan on the launch of her new business. Okay, so with work-life balance, let's talk about priorities. Oh, what a world, what a world. My work-life balance really consisted of putting my spiritual practices first. And I was putting work second. I was waking up in the morning, making sure, well, I guess I can say in general, putting self kind of like self first. I was waking up in the mornings, praying, working out, and then, showering, reading scripture before I did any work. That was my priority. I'm definitely working out before I sit down on my computer or go to start my day. And I'm definitely having a conversation with who. My father. Before I get my day started.
Yeah.
And that would really put me in a great mental space, emotional space, physical space. It would just start my day off with me feeling great. That was a priority for me. And then I would move on to whatever work that I was doing for that day. That would be the first one. I think the next thing that I would prioritize, I was learning Hebrew. I guess. Yeah, for the last maybe year and a half, that was always a priority for me. I had my set time that I was doing that, and I would make sure that I could be there for my Hebrew classes. And if I absolutely couldn't, then I was prioritizing like watching the recording of that class and really just staying on top of my studies. Also, a priority for me in work-life balance was, I don't think we ever mentioned this, but our mom has a music school, a virtual music school.
Yes.
Shout out to Mega Music Studios.
Mega Music Studio.
And Jade and I both take lessons with my mom.
Yeah.
I do vocal.
I do keyboard and vocal.
Yeah, so I would always prioritize that. I only take vocal lessons once a week, and it's for 30 minutes. But it just is a priority for me because I need a work-life balance.
Yeah.
I also was extremely blessed to, over the last year and a half, meet some amazing sisters, meet some amazing ladies who are focused on their biblical studies, who are focused in growing in their relationship with God and their walk with God. They do that through virtual book clubs and Bible study, Bible like research groups and Hebrew lessons. So prioritizing the time to attend book club and attend study groups also helped with my work-life balance. I was really putting my work around those things for quite some time because it just makes doing what I do even that much more enjoyable because I'm not frustrated, I'm not fatigued, I'm not scatterbrained or unfocused because I'm taking breaks from my work. So I think for a while I was prioritizing life and making my work fit around that.
Yeah, that's so interesting because in the beginning, when I first got into entrepreneurship and first building my brands, my viewpoint was it is only me. I have to get as much work done as possible. And so my main focus, like I would roll out of bed and go straight to work. That was like when I woke up in the morning, that's my first thought. Work. What do I have to get done today? That was my first thought. When I went to bed at night, I was like, okay, how do I get up in the morning and get work done? And so work was always on the brain. And then I just got to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't function. I have no work-life balance. I wasn't going outside, not getting sunlight, not walking around, just constantly working because I thought if I got this thing up as quickly as possible, then it would be successful. I don't know. I think there's always a rush to get your idea out there, but timing is everything. And so I really focused on work in the beginning, but now I feel like I'm in a similar boat to you where I'm like, these are core things that I have to do. And if I don't, I'm like, something's not right. Something is not right. So when I wake up in the morning, I directly go to scripture, praying, making sure I'm in the word, because that is like the foundation. If I do not read scripture in the morning or pray or do something to be like, God, thank you for today, I am like all over the place. I'm scatterbrained. And I think it also helps me to remember why I'm here and why I'm doing what I'm doing. To remember that everything you do today is to glorify God. when I think that first, then I'm like, oh, when that temptation comes, it's like, dang, I can't fool with you today because I already said that I was going to glorify God with my actions, my thoughts, my words. And so that can't be a thing for me today. So that really gets me focused.
The word that comes to my mind as you're saying that, and I think what it does for both of us, is grounding.
Yes.
You start your day being grounded. It really centers you and grounds you and focuses you so that it's just like you're good to go. It really does like last you through the day. It's like that grounding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree 100%.
And I started off where you were too. When I first started my business, I was like work.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing personal. I was not thinking about my personal well-being at all. I was just like, I need to work. So, you know, there definitely may be a time and place for that where you kind of just have to be like, okay, I just maybe don't have a personal life for the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is good to continue to neglect the things that you need to do for yourself, because at the end of the day, when you're an artist, when you're doing a creative work and you're managing a business,
if you're not functioning, the business is not functioning.
Exactly.
And so when you hit E, your business is on E.
Yes. Yes. And you are slowly and painfully making it through because you are so depleted. Mm-hmm. Can't pour from an empty cup.
Hey, come on now.
Oh, had to throw that in there.
Oh my gosh. That's what I start with. Making sure I'm grounded in the word. Then I go into language. Like, you're studying Hebrew, I'm studying Spanish. Hey.
Yeah, that's so cool.
¿Cómo te va? Like.
Konnichiwa.
Sorry, not Spanish.
Bonjour.
Still not Spanish. So, yeah. I am trying to be fluent. We are in the same workout group as well. Hey! So, I make sure to prioritize that if I'm not working on a project or if I didn't stay up late the night before. I definitely try to make it to workout in the morning.
Shout out to Royal Roots.
Hey, thank you.
Yes,
Coach
D.
Thank
you, Coach D. Yes.
And then my work schedule has become scheduled around life things, hobbies, and remembering that work shouldn't be everything. Work shouldn't be my whole schedule. So I've color coded my calendar to see how much time I'm spending on a specific thing. My Bible study is the color brown. And if I'm like, oh, okay, I have Bible study at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, do I need to fit more Bible focused things during my day? Work is another color. Language learning is another color. Hobbies are another color. Chores are another color. So like, I'm constantly reminded of, whoa, you're doing way too much work this week, or you didn't do any work this week. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I navigate it. So making sure I'm getting work-life balance.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And when we talk about our schedules, because my brain don't work like that with that kind of scheduling, but I think that that's really cool because it's different for everybody with how you go about scheduling your day.
For sure.
What about your social life?
What social life? What social life? I mean, I definitely am in community. I'm going to church and I have DNA group when they have it.
What's that?
Seasons. Oh, so DNA group is a community group of women, and we meet once a week. And we go through a Bible lesson that was given to us by the church that I go to, Renaissance NYC. Hey, y'all! We just talk about it. We talk about life and how the lessons relate to things that we're going through in the moment. We ask each other for prayer. We ask each other for accountabilities. It's a really nice group to just be grounded in community and to have people who kind of have a similar spiritual journey to you. They're all working to grow in their spiritual journey. And so you might not have started the same place or have the same background. Like, everybody comes from different backgrounds, all the things. But it's nice that, you know, people are on the same mission. So I've been social in those ways. But I mean, if you mean like getting out, enjoying city life, anything like that, no. Count me out. I have not been. How about you?
I mean, I'm on the same page as far as not really going out much. I don't go out much. What I do really enjoy is that a lot of my clients, like I mentioned in the first episode, are people that I've known for years. So every time we link up, it's a celebration every time we link up.
It's a party.
It'd be a party, you know? So it's so good because we're like catching up when we're on set. It's tea time, so we spilling the tea. Like, what you got going on? Oh, what you got going on? Like, it's just a vibe. I am very blessed in that way to get to be working with people that I love and enjoy being around, and are also very creative and or just super talented. So I get a little bit of mix of social life and work together in that way. That's nice. It's fabulous. I don't go out for dinners a lot or like partying ever.
Same.
And I'm not mad about it. I'm not at all. You know, I will do that here and there, but again, it's not something that I'm doing often. Also similar to Jade, a lot of my social time is spent virtually because we spent the last, you know, especially the first year of the pandemic, nobody was going anywhere. So being virtual was really all you had in a lot of ways to be able to socialize. The ladies that I study Hebrew with, and we do have like the biblical research group, that has become more of my social life. They've become like sisters to me. They're really amazing friends and people. And so even outside of the biblical studies that we do, we send each other voice messages throughout the day, encouraging each other, just talking about life. And we just recently actually came back from a retreat in DC, and that was amazing because I also got to do a little bit of work there as well. But just to have a time where we see each other in person, where it's not just all virtual. We actually enjoy each other in person. And then also my sisters, my blood sisters, my sisters from the same mom and dad, Jademan being one of them, are also my friends.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so it's like that's a part of my social life. Like when me and Jade send messages to each other throughout the day, voice messages, just checking in on each other. Every Sunday, our family does a family FaceTime call. So like all of us are on the call together and joking and laughing and enjoying each other.
It's a lot of jokes and laughs.
Yeah, it's so good catching up with each other. I think that's all I want to share.
I was waiting.
I'm gonna throw a little piece out there.
We might throw it next week. We might drop a little here or there.
Yeah, we'll drop it next week. The only sprinkle I'm gonna say, your girl got a little bit of a love life, okay? We'll elaborate more in part 2 of this conversation.
Now let's get into time management. This is a big one for me because your girl likes to procrastinate. That's just honest.
And I feel like a lot of people deal with that, even myself included sometimes.
Yeah, it is so real. And I have been really trying to focus on like when I procrastinate, because sometimes I do it and then an hour after, or like an hour into my procrastination, I'm like, wait, what was I doing? Like, it's become so second nature to me now that I don't even know when it's happening. I don't even know when I've gotten so far off track, because I've made it like into a habit of just procrastinating. For me, procrastination really happens when I'm working on something and it is so out of my level. Like, it is so hard. For example, I was working on costing for a really long time, trying to figure out what to make the price of the kimono. And I would do a little bit of math and I would be like, not sure. And then I would do a little bit more math and I was like, I don't know. And that constant, like, don't know. I got to a point where I was like, okay, I just want to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would pick up my phone and start scrolling on social media like that was going to give me some inspiration or something. Mm-hmm. And I start scrolling, and then I set notifications on my social media to be like, okay, you've been on this long, you've been on that long. And it was like, you've been on 30 minutes. I was like, 30 minutes?
Whoa.
Already?
And it goes by fast,
yeah,
though, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anybody who's a scroller knows that time be flying by. You're like, oh, snap. I was just sitting on here for how long?
Yes. That scrolling syndrome is...
What do they call it? The infinity scroll. It never ends.
Oh, my gosh. So I was scrolling, and then I look at my clock, and I'm like, oh, wow, like... I got to get back to it. And I'm like, what was I doing again? And then the anxiety comes back because I'm like, oh, I really don't know how to do this. I really don't know what to do. That has happened multiple times. I'm so frustrated with this one thing that my only option is procrastination. Mm-hmm. I think that's what my mind tells me. That's the only choice. Girl, you might as well procrastinate because you ain't getting this. And I'm like, you right? I ain't getting it. So let me go on social media for a while and forget what I was doing and come back to it. It don't never work, y'all. It don't never work. I had to start shifting my mind to do something else. Maybe go and practice keyboard for a while. Maybe go and practice voice for a while. Maybe get up, go outside, take a walk, like whatever I need to do to clear my mind and come back with a clear mind, and then be like, okay, let's tackle this. And if you don't know, you need to research, you need to ask somebody, and not just sit in this space of like, I'm lost. Okay, procrastination. I'm lost. Okay, procrastination. Getting out of that cycle, it is hard. Mm-hmm. It is hard, mm-hmm. But it is so worth it in the end to be able to be like, oh, I finally figured it out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where procrastination comes in for me in regards to work. I mean, I feel like I procrastinate on hobby things or things that I maybe want to do in like my social life. With work, I can't think of anything that's coming to my mind right now in regards to ways that I procrastinate from work. Usually when I'm working, I'm on a deadline for somebody that's paying me.
Yeah.
So I can't really procrastinate. It's like, I have to get this done. I mean, there are times when if I have a lot of time to get something done, then some procrastination might come in that way. Okay, so one thing recently that happened where procrastination came in regards to work was I was directing a couple of scenes for a new movie that is coming out. It's gonna be next year, because like, if you don't know, when you work on film, you're not going to see it till the year after, at least, because there's so much that goes into like the editing process that you shoot a film this year is not going to be ready till next year. I directed some scenes for Stax Cordero. My sis, Stax Cordero. If you don't know about her, look up Stax Cordero on Instagram. She wrote a book, an autobiographical book, and she is turning it into a feature film. So she hired me to direct some scenes for her feature film. I thought it was really cool that she decided to take kind of Ava DuVernay-esque, where she hired the different female directors to direct different episodes of Queen Sugar. So Stax decided to do that for her movie, where she hired, I think it was like 3 or 4 of us to, I
said, I know Kofi stuff.
I know it's a lot of ladies out there that know Kofi stuff, okay? So she hired maybe like 4 women directors to direct different scenes in her movie called I Am Relentless. But a part of taking on that job was to read the book. And outside of scripture, I don't do much reading, although I am starting to read more. That is a part of my personal, growth. And I really enjoy reading. I don't watch TV like ever. So my only form of entertainment, if I'm not socializing with people, I want it to be reading. It was so hard for me to read that book, y'all. I think her book signing was like in the summer sometime of last year, and it was like 100 and maybe like 70 something pages. I just finished reading that book last week.
Why do you think it took you so long?
Because my procrastination definitely kicked in. It was like every time I had time to read the book, I was something else. If I could do anything else, I was doing it. Like, I was like, oh, maybe I have something else to edit. I would choose the editing over the sitting down and reading. So it was like I was procrastinating from work with work.
Cheating on work with work.
That was so hard for me. So yeah, that is another reason why I want to read more, because I feel like the more that I make it a habit, the less hard it will be to actually do it for my mind to focus on it. And I think that comes with like epigenetic trauma, because I feel like a lot of quote unquote black people have an issue with reading. Probably a decent percentage of black people have a hard time sitting down to focus to read, or even just being interested in reading. So I do think that is a deeper conversation than just I didn't feel like it, or I didn't have an interest in her book, because I definitely did, and it was amazing. So it's on Amazon. I Am Relentless is what the book is called, as well as the movie. But yeah, so that's another reason why I want to overcome that, because I think it is a place of healing that we need to achieve, that we really need to dig into, and not continue to pass down that gene or that mindset of not wanting to read, not being interested in reading, having a hard time reading. So long story long. So the last thing we're talking about is scheduling style.
Let's go scheduling style.
Yeah.
So I said this earlier, but my scheduling style is really focused on calendar. I am a very visual person, and I need to see what is going on at what time so that I can make sure that it gets done. Sometimes even when it's scheduled, it doesn't get done. But just for me to see it and to be like, wow, this has been on my calendar for 3 weeks and I still haven't done it, then I'm like, okay, we gotta figure something out, because this ain't working. I am very calendar based. If I do not write it down, it does not exist for me. If people say, oh, we should talk, call me such and such, if it doesn't go in the calendar, I'm sorry, y'all, I am not gonna remember. I have to really schedule something. Even when people tell me stuff sometimes and I write it down, if it doesn't get scheduled, it most likely won't get done. With running Loman Moy, and then also trying to build Thrift Babe, and also us meeting for Hey Sista, and then freelancing, I am constantly trying to juggle those 4 main things. And so my calendar, the big things get scheduled. These are things you have to do every day. I have to work on Loman Moy every single day. If I don't, it just backs up, it builds up. Oh, this is overwhelming. This is too much. Thrift Babe, I'm trying to put it in my schedule to work on it every day, because I want to build it, and I think having something in its infancy stage, it just needs extra love.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to prioritize that. Hey Sista is scheduled every week. We do Thursday every week. And so that is my mindset. Thursday, Hey Sista.
Yeah.
Like, it's already something that it's become a habit at this point. Then freelancing, that's where it gets a little tricky, because sometimes I have projects, and I have really big projects, and I'm like, this could be 30 hours of work, or this could be 40, 60 hours of work, depending on what I'm doing. And so freelancing is like, when the projects are slower, then I'm like, okay, I got time. This can get scheduled here and there. But when the projects come in and they are big, and I'm working on multiple freelance projects, then it's like, okay, everything get pushed to the side. Like, I think that's when I start prioritizing, honestly, by money. Like, what is going to pay my bills for this month? That's what I'm doing. And that's how it goes for me.
That's real.
How about you?
The only things that go into an actual calendar for me are deadlines. And Hey Sista, recording for Hey Sista is in my calendar. If I have a shoot, if I have to call someone, so meetings, Zoom meetings, phone calls, whatever, that's it. I mean, I do have workout in my calendar. Even though I do that, that's like, I already know that schedule, but I do have workout in my calendar. Or like doctor's appointments.
Yeah. Oof.
I have my vocal lessons reminder on my calendar. And our Bible study that we do. We have a Bible study that we do. It's me, Jademan, and our aunt on Sundays. Those are the only things. When I have to edit, I don't put that in my calendar because I'm sitting at that desk. And I'm editing. Like, I don't have to, like, remind myself to do that. That's just, like, I know what my editing deadlines are. Or if I have a trip coming up, I'll put that in my calendar. But that's really it. Everything else, I'm really, like, I use this example a lot. You know how people are like, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? I'm like, what's my tomorrow plan? What's my
what's my right now plan?
Yeah. What's my today plan? Because I'm like, yeah, I do have visions for future. And I get what they're saying was like what's your 5-year plan and stuff. But like, I'm a very moment to moment kind of person because I'm like, yeah, it's great to have a 5-year plan. But like, I don't want to get so deep in the whole taking life for granted kind of thing.
But I'm like, can't handle what is going on right now, how can you plan for the future?
Yes. And it's like, I don't know where I'm going to be 5 years from now. I'm not going to be the same place. I can tell you that. And I can have goals for 5 years, 10 years and stuff, but how am I getting there is more of like, what's my mindset? Yeah. What do I need to do today to get to where I, want to be in 5 years or to not still be here in 5 years? Like, I'm a very like in the moment kind of person, but it's interesting because again, I am very much a visionary and I do think future a lot. But I feel like I've gotten to a place at least now where I'm able to reel it back in and be a very moment to moment person. And I think there's so much that goes into a day outside of work. Like I have to, because Jade and I are both vegan, that requires a certain level of food prep and planning. Yeah, like it's not like we just throwing stuff in the microwave and or like ordering takeout every day and stuff like that. It's like I have to prepare my meals. I have to cook. I'm doing a lot of juicing right now. I have to juice. I have to, I have to do dishes. I don't let my dishes just stay in the sink all day if I can help it. Like there's laundry, like certain other responsibilities on a day-to-day basis that I'm just a very moment-to-moment, let me get through the day kind of person. And I don't necessarily like write everything down because I like the spontaneity of life. And I know that the spontaneity of life happens. I could be in the middle of something and I get a call from a client and I have to take that call. And it's like, I just like to be flexible in that way. And that could end up changing my whole day. I remember I had a client that called me the night before. What are you doing tomorrow? I need to shoot a video for such and such. And that, if I had a schedule, it was not going to be that. Yeah. It was going to just change. So I'm more
flexible.
Yeah, I'm more flexible. And I just think, like, I don't really know how to describe it. I'm a very, like, in my mind, I'm constantly thinking. I'm, like, constantly thinking about stuff. I'm constantly just I live in my mind a lot. So, like, I don't listen to music really, like, ever. It's very quiet in my apartment. If I'm listening to anything, it's, like, something that I'm editing. But I'm always thinking all the time.
So interesting. Because you're always thinking all the time. And that is like a positive for you. I'm always thinking all the time. And that can be a detriment to me.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I gotta get it out. I gotta put it down somewhere because if I don't, it's gone. And you're like, I just like to ponder. Like how they, what is it? The sommeliers, when they take the wine and like swirl it. You're like, I just like to swirl my thoughts in my mind and just live in the moment. And I'm like, I need a schedule. I can't do it.
But
we're both always thinking.
Yeah. Yes.
So I guess whatever works for y'all.
Yeah.
Figure out what works for you. If it's a calendar, if it's not a calendar, if it's a mix of both.
And I've tried scheduling before, but I feel like the thing with scheduling for me is that if I like schedule my day as far as like, okay, from 9 to 12, I'm doing this. From 12 to something, I'm doing this. I guess it kind of could give me anxiety and like disappointment. Like if I'm not doing what I said I was going to do at the time I said I was going to do it, then I just feel like, oh, I didn't have a productive day. I didn't get everything done that I had on my schedule. Stuff is rolling over to the next day. I guess it makes me feel like overwhelmed if I'm not able to execute the schedule exactly how I had it. I did try that for some time, but when I started noticing that that's how I was feeling from doing that, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that because I know I'm productive every day. I did do that though. This might be something that when you're very new entrepreneur, when I started my entrepreneur journey, I left my restaurant job and I had nothing. I didn't even know I was going on an entrepreneur journey. I was just leaving my restaurant job to pursue an acting career full-time initially. So that was a good time for me to have, because I didn't have work to do per se. Like I didn't have anything to do. I had to like find like stuff to do. No deadlines. I was trying to figure out life in that moment. So that was where a schedule really worked for me, or at least writing down what I did every day. If I didn't have an actual schedule, I was at least writing down everything that I did so that at the end of the day I wouldn't feel like I didn't do anything and I was unproductive. So that's the only time that type of, thing worked for me. But now it's just more I'm able to go with the flow but still have structure.
That's good. I find myself doing that too. When I do have my calendar and like someone would call me and I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be working on Lemon right now. Like, please, I gotta go. Like, and then I just take it in stride now. I'm like, it'll just get pushed back and it'll get done eventually. It's on the calendar. It's going to happen. Don't panic. Like, because having people in your life and talking to people and taking breaks and like making sure that work isn't consuming me, I'm like, okay, I needed this. I needed to talk to someone and get out of this like robotic mode almost. And so when something comes up, I just shift the things and I'm like, let's just keep it moving. I was productive this morning before that person called, so I think I only get frustrated when I know I'm not productive and then someone calls me and then I'm like, oh dang, should have used that time wisely. But
I think there's something to be said about that though. I always feel productive still, like, because my spirituality plays such a part. That's like my life. Like, I will prioritize that before work kind of thing. I look at those things as a part of what I'm here to do. Like, what I'm on this earth to do. Like, being a light. Like, helping my brother and my sister, being there to support, my friends and my family. So I used to really be like, oh, I can't call anybody, or I can't answer. But because I'm more in tune with my spirituality now, and I'm more in tune with my purpose, I look at that as this is what I needed to do today. Like, if somebody is reaching out to call me, I'm like, I feel like that's a part of I am productive by like taking that time to like talk to, whomever it may be, just because of like how the world works, like how things work. Like, we're supposed to also be here for people. We're supposed to also be here for each other. And I think now that I understand that more, I'm like, I just spent an hour on the phone with my sister in the middle of the day. But I spent an hour on the phone with my sister in the middle of the day. And if whatever she called me for, if it's, you know, something that she was anxious about or worried about, or good news she wanted to share, or whatever it may be, I feel like that was a good use of my time.
Yeah. I never really looked at it like that. So that's cool. I don't know. Maybe because I'm a control freak. I'm like, stick to the plan. So when anything happens outside of the plan, I'm like, oh, goodness, I was not expecting that. But that is an awesome way to look at it.
I totally grew into that. I was more like you in the beginning. I was like, I'm not answering the phone for nobody until I have free time. But I just am more open to being a vessel, so to speak, in that way, to be like, okay, because we do take that time in the morning to ground.
Yeah.
Where do you need me to be, God? Like, I'm open for you first. Like, yeah, I can sit at this computer all day or do whatever I need to do all day, but like, whatever you need me to do, I'm here for that. And I pray to be in tune with that, what he needs me to do, so that, because it's more about with people. It's not necessarily always our work.
Yeah. We're here to be a light.
Yeah.
And to impact others in a positive way. And we're here to do the plan and the work of God.
Yes.
And not just what's on our agenda.
Yes. So I think that is a beautiful note to end on.
Hey.
Hey, drove that home real quick. We want to say thank you so much for tuning in for part 1 of episode 3.
Yes.
It's going to be episode 2. So tune in for the next episode.
Part 2.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's going to be episode 2.
It's going to be a part 2 of episode 3. So make sure y'all tune in. As always, we invite you to join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/Hey Sista with an A podcast. And we got lots of great behind the scenes content for you. Lots of VIP access and special perks that you only get on Patreon. So again, thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Hey sister. Hey sister. Hey.
Hey sister. Hey sister.
Let me hear you say, hey sister. Hey sister. Hey.
I said, hey sister. Hey sister. Hey. Say,
love ya.
Bye.
Hey Sista Podcast is brought to you by the owners of Loam & Moy and Phenomenal Woman Media Group. Our mission is to share our stories about the realities of entrepreneurship and to help you along your journey to becoming your own boss.
Whether you're a newbie, advanced, or somewhere in between, we want to remind you that you are not alone. We hope to encourage you and give you insight as you navigate through the uncertainties of this unique and rewarding lifestyle. Thanks for listening. See you next time.